So it's so fascinating as we live our human lives that we have our soul self, we have our higher self, and we also have our spirit helpers. So we've got our human self, and we can chat to our soul, we can chat to our spirit helpers. We've actually got a lot of help. Hi, everyone. Welcome to We're Open, our new podcast, my new podcast. My name's Alicia Power, and this podcast is about spirituality. I'm here with my dear friend, longtime friend, Claudine Silman, and we are just so excited to answer your questions where you send in your questions about spirituality. I've been a long-time spiritual seeker. I've been a spiritual teacher for 40 years. And Claudine is near the beginning of her spiritual journey, her spiritual exploration. And together, the conversation as we chat about these very deep topics, important topics like life purpose, soul purpose, as we chat about them, I sometimes turn around to my spirit guides and ask them to give us a little bit of their thoughts on these topics. So it gets really juicy. We have a lot of fun. So let's start. I'm just going to bring Claudine in. Claudine, hello.
Hello, Alicia. How are you?
I'm great. I just want to say that it's been raining today and the last few days, and I'm feeling really cozy. And I've got my cup of tea, and
Me
it's just
too.
that cozy vibe.
It is, isn't it? The rain tends to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I was just going to say, I've had a productive morning.
you have.
I have. I've done 3. I've done my lemon in my water. I've done a meditation, and then I've done some Pilates.
So
I feel like
these are the rituals you were talking about
these are these rituals.
earlier
Yeah.
on in these
So,
podcasts about building strength
yes.
of purpose.
Yeah. And it just sort of gets me set up for the day, puts me in my lane, and I feel like I'm going to have a productive day. And it just makes such a difference when you do those little rituals. So I'm set up,
You're ready to go.
ready to go.
All right. Well, let's start with our question.
Okay, so
First question.
question today. This is from Anne Marie. So Anne Marie writes, please explain the difference between our higher self and our soul and what they both are. So I do have 2 quotes to go with the question before we
Such a
dive
big
in.
question, isn't it?
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
oh my goodness. Such a big question. Goodness, let's go.
So your soul is the place within you that is timeless, ageless, and eternal. It is the ultimate core and essence of who you truly are. And that one's from Lunar and Soul. And then we've got a quote here about the higher self. So this one says, your higher self is always nudging you toward a resolution of the conflicts that you experience in your life so that you will have room for serenity and harmony. And that one's from a favourite of mine, Wayne Dyer, which you would love as well.
Yes. Wow. Now, I just want to mention that I've been talking to the worlds of spirit for 3 decades now as a spiritual teacher and as an energy healer as well. And the topics of soul and higher self are, for me, fascinating because when I work as an energy healer, we do very, very gently feel into and sense into with my spirit helpers and my spirit, I don't know, I call them like spirit healers, basically. We feel into and sense into the energy fields surrounding a human, and we go into them. And when we work inside these subtle energy fields that surround our human body, which we call the aura, and as an energy healer, that's what I do all day, every day. We kind of are diving in. I start noticing that there's patterns in the aura, and that this auric field, this field of energy, this electromagnetic field, actually contains all our memory, and there are different layers to it, and also like Russian egg, the Russian dolls, you know how they go inside each other?
Yes.
That's a bit like these energy fields. They're kind of inside each other, but they keep going up and up and up and up, like getting
Right.
bigger and bigger. And definitely those fields that are going further up and up and up can be labeled your soul fields. And
Okay.
also you can also label them your higher self fields as well. For me, as
Right.
someone who's jumping into those fields, I just quickly want to say that the demarcation between the higher self and the soul self, the higher self bodies, the electromagnetic force fields that are the higher self, but also that are the soul, are pretty well much nearly the same thing.
I was
Just from
wondering that.
just from my point of view.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I sort of from research and from what I felt, the soul was kind of our values, our beliefs. We talk about our soul purpose and soul partners, and it's linked. It's quite earthly, and then we've got our higher self, which is linked to source, and it guides our soul. So I've always felt that our soul is linked to the earth, and I kind of feel it in the center here. I sort of always go to my chest when I'm talking about the soul. It's our beliefs and our values, our moral compass, and it's what we need, things in our life that light our soul up. So we talk about soul purpose and our soul partners, soul relationships. And then I sort of looked at the spirit, our higher self, and felt that's, as it describes, it's higher, it's linked to source. And would you say our higher self guides our soul?
Actually, look honestly, because I've been playing inside the actual anatomy of the soul
Yeah.
for 30 years. Anatomy meaning that the matrices of light, and it's like software sits on those matrices, and that's our memory. It's our soul memory. We've passed through many lifetimes before.
Yeah.
Our soul has,
Yeah.
and so the soul actually is a big force field of light. It's not just sitting in here. It's actually it's vast. It's huge, and it travels right out into the universe.
Right.
And
Okay.
so it's information and its data, its memory is informing us and nudging us, and quite often it's what we think is our intuition. So the soul is huge. It's got huge memory databases. People call it the Akashic records, because it's traveled even before going into human lifetimes. It's existed in the spirit world, gathering training and learning. And it's really, really, really interesting. And um, and so the soul, just really quickly to give you a little bit of a
Yeah.
visual, where this tiny little thing inside a huge bubble of light, and that huge bubble of light is the soul. So
Okay.
and also the soul has, as I mentioned, just like those Russian dolls, it's got higher octaves and higher octaves and higher octaves, which have different kinds of energy patterns, different kinds of memory, and different kinds of bits of information floating down to our human self.
Right.
So we're getting guided very much and informed very much by that higher part of ourselves. And can you hear the words that we're trying to find in English? The higher part of ourselves. We're kind of going, that's one way of saying the soul, but we're sort of just, oh, I just said the higher part of ourselves, which
Yeah.
you could say is the higher self. so I,
Okay.
yeah, so actually it's a thing. It's a very real thing. It's the permanent part of us that doesn't die. It's the part of us that stays real beyond life and death after
Yeah.
our human personality self and our body stops functioning. So it's this huge bubble of light. It's a huge force field of light, and it walks and talks, and it's
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
and you can chat to it. And I actually have got a course of 26 little workouts with your soul, and it's free. And at the moment, I'm just giving it away for free. Um, and if people are interested in it, just email support@soulmentoring.com, and
Fantastic.
we'll send you a link to it. So it's called Soul Workout. So 26 workouts for the soul, and it's you get to chat to the soul, you get to ask it what it wants, and you get to plan your week with your soul. So that you're not I'm not sort of needing or wanting necessarily to promote this course right now, but it's kind of fun where you're asking your soul what it feels it wants to do for that week rather than your logic. So it's like practicing aligning with the soul. But
Right.
yeah, so the soul it communicates. It's gosh, it's in higher dimensions as well as being in this human dimension. And yeah, I'm someone who's not into theory. I'm not into the theory of labels, especially when you
Yeah.
dive into the spirit worlds, when you
Yeah.
close your eyes and go inner journeying in the spirit worlds,
Mm.
because all those words start to fall away because things can move so fast, and what you're being taught in the spirit worlds can be happening so quickly that words are very sort of slow,
Okay.
sometimes
Yeah.
in those moments of learning. And so later on, when you come back to being your human self, when you're thinking about it, you can find a word to put on something. But the movement of learning inside when you're with your spirit helpers and chatting to them, uh, it's a little faster than even words. So I don't actually put too much weight on words. I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't lean too strongly on words. So
It makes
and,
sense.
and I quickly want to say that I've been looking into the spirit worlds for 30 years. So and flying in there and playing with my spirit helpers for 30 years and talking with them two-way for 30 years. So and they've been showing me so much, and so I'm trying to kind of describe what I've seen and what I know and where I've traveled for over 30 years with them. So I just want to say that, yeah, the soul and the higher self, it's a fascinating thing. And I do want to say that when we start moving forward and saying to ourselves and even saying to our spirit helpers, hey, I actually want to mature as a soul in this lifetime. I want to um, develop and move higher in my spiritual development. And you can say that to your spirit helpers.
Yeah.
They will. One of the things they'll start to do, and it's kind of fun and interesting, is they will start to help you. And get this, they'll start to help you notice that you're bigger than just your personality self. That you actually sometimes can, as you described, you can be coming from your soul. You can be so much more grafted up to your soul, and be just much more connected to your soul in your everyday living, noticing what your soul's wanting, noticing, and yeah, taking it seriously what your soul's
Yeah.
wanting.
Yeah. Because I do think sometimes we can ignore those little signs over many years, and because we're living in the human form, um, and then yeah, I think if you do, like you said, if you do open yourself up, then that will come through, what we're meant to be doing, what our soul purpose is, um, and that can just be, I guess, that's through meditation or journaling, just connecting with your soul on that level, and
There's there's some beautiful ways to quite directly have conversations with your soul too, by the way, and quite simple visualization processes, really powerful.
mm,
Like, I'm going to give a really powerful, really simple one right now, just as a little tool,
yeah,
because it is about soul. what is your higher self? What is your soul? So whoever's watching this, I'm going to suggest that you close your eyes, because it's just going to be a beautiful, fun process with your soul. And imagine that you're sitting on a chair. Just close your eyes and just imagine you're sitting on a chair, and there's another chair sitting next to you. And imagine someone sits down on that chair next to you, and it's your soul. And you look over at them, and it could be in a metaphor of a human, like that there actually could be a human or some kind of a person sitting there. And you imagine in your imagination that you're leaning over, and you put your forehead to the forehead of your soul. And then you ask your soul, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? And the trick is in the next moment to just go totally quiet, like calm mind, just zero thinking in your mind. And just notice what your soul wants to say back to you, or how it's feeling, or what it's kind of sending you a feeling of how it's feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And practice that and ask the soul questions like, are you having a good time? What do you want to do in this life? What do you think about me right now with what I'm doing? Things like that. So this is a real part of us that's much higher, and it's got opinions, and it's got real feelings, and it also wants to do things. It wants to achieve things. So, and if you're still doing this process, you can stay here, pause the video, and just stay here and keep chatting. But Claudine and I are going to keep talking. What did you think of that?
That's awesome. And yeah, it's because I do love visualizing. I do it quite a lot. And those little visualizations simplify it for us and really put clarity around how we can connect and talk to our soul, which is great.
Yeah, really simple visualization. And, our logic can go, hey, that's just a simple little visualization. But guess what? Something deep inside of us can really be stirred and really be touched and moved emotionally
Absolutely.
in moments like that. And in the end, that's the long-term change that starts happening for us when we have
So
those deep
true.
inner connection moments with our soul. Yeah,
And
so
that's so true
I really recommend it.
when you say the logic can step in and minimize those little practices, that's where we can switch off and not pursue them or not keep them daily. So I love what you just said then, that they are very powerful.
Very powerful. So
Yeah.
Claudine, I recommend it for you too. Like when you're doing your
Yes.
meditation, just do that little visualization, 2 chairs, jump on one, imagine your soul sitting on the other, and open the conversation up, and just
Yeah.
start
Absolutely.
tuning into what's getting sent towards you from your soul as it's sitting there, because
Yeah.
sometimes it won't be a word, it might just be a feeling or a knowing being sent back to you. And sometimes people report that they get a little bit mind blown actually from the information that starts coming back from their soul,
Wow.
because they didn't know that the soul was feeling like that about things.
Yeah, and that's amazing that you don't know. And I think for me, it's when I've opened up into the world of self-development and spiritual development and all these practices, and that's where I now sit with, I know I want to serve others and dive into the self-development and spiritual world, and make a difference. So I think also I find I'm being called to nature a lot more these days, and visualizing some of the beautiful places that I've traveled. For example, in the USA, I'm visualizing them and wanting to be back in them. So I'm guessing that's my higher self guiding me to where, and my friend said you need to earth yourself more, which standing on the grass with no shoes. But yeah, it's just like a strong calling back to nature and being out, walking through the desert or through the Grand Canyon, for example. So I just visualize that on my daily walks, that's I pick a favourite place that I've been to and imagine that. So, yeah, I think that's my higher self sending some strong signals to me.
Hey, Claudine, you and I have to set up a bushwalk, a
Yes, we
rainforest walk
do.
soon,
Yes, can't
don't
wait.
we? Me too.
We
I'm
do.
feeling this. I'm feeling totally the same thing.
Yeah, we spoke about that in December, I think, and we've
Yeah,
both been wanting to do a hike or
yeah.
just to be out in nature.
Trekking.
And yeah, so a rainforest would be beautiful.
Beautiful. I know. Hey, I just want to say, as you're talking, that you're longing to get deeper into your spiritual development and to grow. And what I mentioned just earlier, which is that if you turn to your spirit helpers and actually direct that instruction to them, I
Yeah,
want to grow, I want to develop. What starts
yeah,
happening is it's like you can feel that somebody putting their foot down on the accelerator, it's just this, and the growling of a powerful engine, It's like,
yeah,
oh my goodness, life's starting to just move faster and faster
yes.
towards. And also the penny drops inside of us start going faster and faster, and the questions get stronger inside of us, and you can just feel your spirit helpers with you. It's like,
100%.
yeah, it's like this big movement starts happening. So I
Yeah,
just want
it
to
is.
say,
Very much like an internal movement. And I like what you just said. It's like the pennies finally dropped.
and they keep
um,
dropping faster.
yeah, yeah. And information,
Really, really fast. It's like someone gets into your head, like your spirit helpers start, because you've asked them to, they're starting to help you sort of move over a line and move over a line and kind of really understand and get things faster. And
yes.
um, one of the key points there is that they're always with you and they're so close. Your spirit helpers
Mm,
are in your mind pretty well much. Um, and so anytime you can turn to them, it's like walking, I sometimes used to talk about it like trying to fly a plane in cloud and fog, and you've got the tower, the air tower, whatever they call it, talking in your
yeah,
ear,
the control tower.
the
Yeah,
control tower. It's a bit
yeah,
like that, where we're living our lives, but we've actually got these instructions coming into our mind of turn left, turn right, not controlling, but just letting us know that optimal opportunities are this way or that way, like
yes,
it still happens to me even now with really
yeah,
simple things. I get a nudge to go left or to go right.
yeah. And I see our role in that is to trust and believe, which
Yeah.
can take time, but just to trust that they're there guiding us and listen to what they have to say when we have our challenges, see challenges as learning experiences.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and yeah,
that's
just
right.
just trust that our higher self is there for us.
Yep, absolutely. It's so fascinating, as we live our human lives, that we have our soul self, we have our higher self, and we also have our spirit helpers. So we've got our human self, and we can chat to our soul, we can chat to our spirit helpers. We've actually got a lot of help.
We
And,
do, yeah.
and this whole thing of visualization and using the imagination, people can dismiss it as a little thing and not very important. But as someone who's taught people to talk to their spirit guides for 30 years, I would like to say that I think the human race has been tricked, because in my experience, imagination is what opens the door wide into the worlds of spirit. So if you start a visualization, the worlds of spirit, the loving worlds of spirit, immediately start tweaking your imagination. So suddenly it's a two-way dance. It's not just you
Yes,
imagining. And suddenly you're noticing that they're giving you things to look at or things
I
to,
can relate.
you know? So visualization and imagination, when chatting to your spirit guide or chatting to your soul, it's the golden key. It really is the golden key to opening up the world, that world of getting to know your soul. How precious is that? A reunion, a reunion with your soul. Like your soul kind of like walks behind you in a way. It's actually I said it was a huge ball of light, and we're just this little thing in the middle of it, right? Which is the truth,
Yeah.
actually. And so we're living our life with this invisible being inside, this big invisible energy being, which is our soul, and you could call it your higher self. But we're not talking to it. We're ignoring it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's quite sad to know that we've got the help there existing. We just have to open up the floodgates and start the communication.
Yep. And once you open up the floodgates and open up that to a, well, reunion. I love using that word, actually, because
Yeah, yeah,
it's pretty gorgeous. Um, Such a sweet, sweet, sweet love starts happening between us and our own soul. You
yeah.
know, you can imagine if you just looked into the world of spirit and you pretended and imagined that your soul was standing in front of you, and your soul was this pristine force field of golden light, and it's in front of you. And it's so full of love, and it's so advanced as a being. It's highly advanced. And its ability to love and to guide and to teach is huge, because we as little humans, we're rolling along, but we don't actually know that much. We Quantum physics and quantum science is trying to understand reality and what's reality and what's
Yeah,
physical and how the universe works. But beyond the physical world, there's worlds of spirit teachers, and they understand how all this quantum situation works. They understand how the universe works because they're the guys in the quantum fields behind the physical dimension. And they just understand so much. They're just incredible. And that's what our soul is actually like. So if it's in front of us, this beautiful being of light, sending us love, sending us light, and in such deep, deep service to us as humans, it's because it's connected to us, but it's also a guide in a way as well. And it's in service to us. You can imagine the sweet love that it has for us as it's kind of just
absolutely.
beaming towards us, right? So I just gave everybody a visual there because that's
Yeah, it's
actually what
beautiful.
happens when you close your eyes and you go, okay, beautiful soul of mine, I call upon you to come towards me. And that is what starts showing up in front of us, this
Yeah,
incredible ball of light, because it wants to let you know, it wants to show you what it really is, which is this incredible force field of light. Our soul is amazing. It's
mm,
just, I can't say enough about it because it's jaw-dropping, mind-blowing. It's
yeah,
incredible, just incredible. And the most important thing is that it's full of love, and it loves us, and it wants to. I'm being actually invited to say that it wants to embrace us and give us a big hug and
wow.
tell us that it loves us.
It's so beautiful to know, and
Hmm.
that it's light, it shines so bright, so it wants to stand out to us. That's why we're always directed to look for the light and be the light, because it's shining, wanting us to notice it.
It's the other thing that's really interesting, because that you've just prompted a new thought in me just to share, and that is that many people watching this know, that we instinctively know that we're made of light, and that we've come here as humans to share our light, to shine our light, and that there's actually a huge, 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 that the story in Holland of the little boy who put his finger in the dike, to stop all the water coming through.
Yes,
So there's this huge volume of light. That's like the water behind the dike. and
right.
we're like the person who's holding, putting our finger in the hole so that the water doesn't come through. It's a little bit like that with our light. It's like there's this such a massive amount of light wanting to just splash out and just
Yeah,
touch as many people as possible. And we're the ones who are stopping it, because it's really interesting. It's like it's a force. It's such a powerful force, and it's like a huge sort of a wave of water coming down a dry riverbed. It's just going to gather everything up. It's got huge power behind it, this light
Yeah.
that we all are, and that we want to share. And that's the truth. Your soul, everybody's soul, all of our souls has got such potent a force of light, and that's why it's come into this life. And that's why we've become alive. That's why we were born, to let the force of that light come through, like down that dry riverbed, let it just come through and splash people.
And would you say for people out there to just keep learning and with their spiritual development and their practices so they can connect and, like you said, do those little visualizations and so they
Yeah,
can connect to their light and to their soul more?
absolutely. So I've got courses where you can just introductory courses to just start talking to your spirit guide and just start learning how to hear them and just start learning how to open up little introductory conversations. And also, I just so do suggest jumping on my website, which is soulmentoring.com and signing up on my email list, because then we can send you this free course with these 26 little
Fantastic.
workouts for the soul. And each one of those workouts, we dive into an inner visualization, and you get to learn how to talk to your soul, and you meet spirit helpers, and it's just quite a workout. Every single one of them,
Wow.
they're actually like little 5-minute workouts. They're not long workouts. So it's 26
Easy
little
to do.
5-minute
Yeah.
workouts. Yeah. And so I just want to say that, if anybody wants to just massage those muscles of getting to know their soul and getting to know their spirit helper, to just jump into soulmentoring.com and sign up for something, because then you're on my mailing list, and then we can send you. And
Awesome.
you can ask us, send me the soul workout course. So yeah, I highly recommend that.
We can have our physical workouts and then we can have our soul workouts.
Totally. Both
Great.
happening at the same time. Remember, you and I talked about the fact that getting your physical body healthy and
Absolutely. Yeah.
staying healthy and movement and
Yeah.
our clean diet and what we're putting in our body and just being kind to ourselves, self-caring, is so important. And our soul loves that. It's happy. It wants us to
It
be
does.
happy. So if we're
Yeah.
unhappy and uncomfortable, our soul is kind of like going, oh gosh, just
Yeah.
look after yourself.
Yeah.
I
It
just
likes the movement as well.
I just did a little 10-minute, I think, YouTube video that I put up on self-care, and I let my spirit guides talk and give us a whole lot of tips that us as humans we can just do every day to self-care. So the topics in my mind, it's like just to give ourselves a little bit of love every day, spend time with ourselves every day,
Beautiful.
and yeah. And it just helps us align with um, much more with that light and that joy coming from our own soul. So that whole topic of what is soul and what is our higher self, in a way it's a bit cerebral, in a way it's a little bit theoretical. And I'm
Yeah.
someone who's not very theoretical, but
Right.
I can talk to the cows come home about it because I'm in there looking at it.
Yeah.
Nobody's given me a book to read about it. I'm in there
You're
working it.
actually, within it, which is so powerful. So, yeah, we're blessed to have you
Mm.
here discussing it with us.
Thanks,
Um,
Claudine.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just humbled to be here chatting with you, and it's a huge. It's, as I said, it's learning for me, and it's hopefully we're touching other people as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of
Oh,
fun.
it is. It's a lot of fun. So I just want to wrap up the conversation around higher self and soul. I just want to say it's a huge topic, and um, we're actually jumping out of the physical dimension in a way when we start talking about higher self and soul. Like we're
Mm,
here, and we've got a soul, and that is our higher self. And it's conscious, it's sentient, it chats, it talks, it's even more intelligent than we are.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
smarter than
huge
we are.
topic.
It's a huge topic, but it's a topic that many people aren't used to talking about because we're so used to being us and living our lives and all the dramas and all the circumstances of our lives, and
Yeah,
we're not often sort of our attention's not often on a part of us that is bigger than us, smarter than us, a real part of us. It's the real us that leaves at the end of this life,
yeah,
and it's actually connected to us right now as I'm talking. And as I said, this is the fourth time I think I'm talking about this, or the third time, where it's a huge bubble of love and of light, and we're this tiny little human in the middle of it. So it's not in us, we're in it.
we're in it. Yeah.
In it. And we're
Mm,
if this was just a big energy soup, we would see this big ball of light walking around in this energy soup, and that's what we are. And it's not just inanimate like a piece of dead wood. It's every tiny little part of its energy twinkles, chats. So it can talk to us. It can send us messages. It can wake
yeah,
us up. It can wake us up. It can make us feel happier. It can give us answers to questions. And it's who we really are at the end of the day and at the end of our life. It's who we really are. It's beyond this physical
yeah.
dimension and this physical body. It's beyond it, and it's bigger
Mm,
than it. And so even as I'm talking about, everybody's stretching their brains trying to imagine that. But that's a good thing, and I'm happy that you are. I'm happy that everybody watching this is trying to imagine that, because as you're trying to imagine it, you're actually inviting it closer to you, and um, it's like you're sending out feelers towards it, and you're asking it to
mm.
help you notice it,
I like
help
that.
to
I like
to help you notice it.
stretching our brain.
Yeah, stretching our brain. So we won't talk too much more about that topic, because it's an incredible topic.
Mm.
It's a
Yeah,
topic
we can
about
just go
it's a
on, can't we?
well, it's a topic about much more than us as humans, right? It's a topic that
Mm.
we are bigger than just us as humans. And it
Yeah.
starts talking about going into the worlds of spirit to be able to even see how big we are as a soul. So
Mm.
that's a whole topic that kind of most people are not familiar with. Are familiar with themselves as humans. So
Mm.
anyway, we've opened the topic. We've opened the door. We've walked
Thank
in.
you. Yes.
We've
Thanks for
started
that
talking
question.
about it. And hopefully everybody watching this and listening to this will go, oh, okay, then I'm a lot more than just my human self. And that's such a beautiful thought, It's a beautiful thought, and all of you watching this and listening to this, I'm pleased that you're going to start thinking like that, because you are.
Beautiful.
Yep, it's the beginning of the slide, um, the ride home to God, home to God energy, home to where we've come from, wherever we've come from. It's the beginning of our movement home, that you're beginning
Mm.
to think of yourself a little bit more than just as a human. There you
Love that.
go. Yeah, Claudine, thank you for
Thank
playing
you
today.
again. Yeah. Love the
Yeah,
question. Love the chat.
yeah. It's a bit mind blowing.
It is. Yeah. You
It's
just,
like,
it's
oh,
something to process.
yeah. And I'm sure tonight you're going to be lying in your bed thinking, oh, I've got this big, huge bubble of light around me, and it's bigger than me, and it's the real me. I wonder what it
Yeah.
feels like. And I think I'll just imagine it sitting on a chair, and I'll start talking to it.
And that's a great little tool to use, little
Mm.
visualization. And I think a lot of us will have epiphanies on this topic.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I think it's sort of like it's opened a loop, as they say, meaning that you'll go, hang on a minute, I think there's a little bit more I have to learn about this.
Yes. Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah, Wow. Thank you so much, Claudine.
Thank
I
you.
so enjoy these conversations, and I hope all of you watching, you're enjoying them as well. And I get to share 30 years of diving into the worlds of spirit and being a spiritual teacher. So thank you so much. Thank you, Claudine. I love hanging out with you.
You too. Take care.